Don't get too big for your boots just because you're part-time. What are you misunderstanding? Since being assigned to the subsidiary, I've become the target of an unreasonable employee. They always find a way to get involved and use me to their advantage. Taking advantage of the chronosim at the headquarters, this unreasonable employee does whatever they please. But the moment arrives when their chronocism vanishes, offering me a chance to turn the tables from a disadvantaged position. What happens to the unreasonable employee who finally faces the consequences of his actions? I am Chelsea, 42 years old. With my two kids grown up enough to take care of themselves, I decided to rejoin the company I used to work for. Now I'm an employee at the headquarters. One day, I was assigned by my boss to go to a subsidiary as a trainer. I had experience leading juniors and managing team members, but this was my first time going to a subsidiary, and I was quite nervous. However, I was determined to do my best, knowing the responsibility was entrusted to me. On my first day at the subsidiary, I was shown around, and the place was bustling with activity. When I approached what seemed to be a senior manager, he said, "Oh, are you the new person? Sorry, but we're swamped right now, so just a quick hello will do." And he directed another employee to greet me. It seemed there was another new person besides me, and we greeted together. "What? No one told me about anyone new coming." But then, a somewhat angry man blurted out. This man was the unreasonable employee, Jake. Jake, around 50 years old, seemed like a long-time employee. He was self-centered, doing whatever he pleased without regard for others, and short-tempered, making him unpopular. His disheveled hair, crooked tie, and worn-out suit and shoes made me wonder how he managed in sales. "Nice to meet you. I'm Chelsea." I reintroduced myself, and everyone but Jake responded. Jake was in sales, often away from the office, which probably explained why he hadn't heard about me. His lack of knowledge might also be due to his disconnection from part-time administrative staff and trainers. "Oh, another half-baked hire? Women like you always have to prove your worth at home or work. Well, good luck," Jake rudely remarked. Despite the challenging vibe from Jake, I strove to be useful at the subsidiary, working hard every day. When I ran into Jake near the office one day, "You're the new one, right? Can you lend me some change?" he asked. I told him I only had $5, to which he retorted, "What? Why don't you have any change? That's not going to make you popular, you know." "Well, at your age, I guess it doesn't matter anymore. Just lend it to me." Then, without permission, he took the $5 from my wallet and started buying a drink from the vending machine. Instead of returning the change, he casually pocketed it and headed back to the office, apparently keeping the whole amount. Following him to the elevator, he suddenly grabbed my shoulder and pushed me towards the stairs. "No, you're supposed to go that way. Why are you here?" Saying, confused, I asked why. "What? Just do what you're told. If you argue, you'll regret it later." And he replied in a stern tone. He walked away, leaving me bewildered, watching me from a distance. Feeling creeped out, I hurried up the stairs. When I inquired about Jake with other employees, they all seemed uncomfortable. "Oh, Jake? It's better not to get involved with him." It seems others have also been subjected to similar treatment by Jake, enduring harassment for the first year after joining the company. The company itself has taken issue with Jake's behavior, warning him several times. Things are reportedly better now, but I wonder how bad it must have been in the past. Even now, Jake's words and actions often push me to the brink of despair. Why doesn't he stop, even after being cautioned by the company? Apparently, Jake sees his behavior as some sort of initiation rite for joining the company. It baffles me why someone like him is still employed here. As I inquired further, I learned that Jake is acquainted with a board member at the headquarters. In front of the subsidiary's president, Jake acts like a good guy, and any complaints about him are dismissed, seemingly due to chronicism, as other employees have resignedly noted. One day, as I was leaving the office, I bumped into Jake in the parking lot. "Long day, huh?" I said, trying to pass by. Hey, hold on a sec. "What, that's it?" he blurted out, confusing me. "What do you mean, that's it?" As I replied, "No, crossing paths with employees returning home tired. Isn't there something like food or drinks prepared? For a woman, you're not very thoughtful." He said this with a serious face. "Wait, you're married? You have kids?" "Well, at your age, you must have kids, right? Supported by your husband. You're just working halfway, aren't you?" I was becoming increasingly irritated by Jake's unreasonable words. At this age, it's expected to be married. At this age, it's expected to have children. Women working part-time, supported by men? Part-time jobs are also respectable work. What do they think of women managing household chores, childcare, and work? I shouldn't have to be looked down upon by someone with such views. In my mind, reason and instinct were at war. Yet, not wanting to make a scene, "Would you like some coffee?" I asked with a smile. "I can't drink black coffee. The vending machine only has black coffee. Can you believe it? Last time, I had to buy water, but I really prefer sweet drinks." Jake started. "Oh right, you should start picking these up from the convenience store for me from tomorrow," he said, and I was about to object that it wasn't my job. But Jake hurried off to work, saying he was busy. The next day, Jake seemed busy and left the company before the morning assembly. As an outside salesperson, Jake was rarely in the office. When he returned, it was usually after I had left for the day, so I was relieved to have less interaction with him. On a rare day Jake was in the office, I pointed out something that had been bothering me: his unkempt appearance. Whether he was unaware or simply didn't care, either way, it was unacceptable for a salesperson. "Excuse me, that's coming undone," I mentioned subtly. "What? Wearing something worn is a badge of how hard I work. It's intentional. Looks like I'm busy, right?" He was so mistaken. Personal freedom aside, salespeople should maintain a neat appearance for better work impression. Just a personal opinion, I suggested, and Jake retorted, "Impudent old woman! This is why I hate women. My wife's always busy with part-time work and household stuff, saying she's busier than me who's working full-time." He shouted angrily. His words took me aback, not just for the rudeness, but also because Jake was actually older than me. Following that incident, Jake became even harsher towards me. Then, one day, during a morning assembly, an incident occurred. "Does anyone have any announcements?" asked the boss to everyone. I raised my hand and said I had a matter to discuss. "Having worked here for a month, I've noticed several inefficiencies in employee training." As I started, Jake from behind exclaimed, "What?" As I turned around, he slapped me across the face with a loud smack. "Don't you dare act high and mighty as a part-timer! Ugh, what are you thinking?" Jake shouted, spitting with excitement. I was stunned, as were the other employees. "Hey, hey, hey, what are you doing?" shouted the boss, approaching Jake. "Are you out of your mind?" He confronted Jake. "It's this old woman's fault. She's just a new part-timer and starts complaining about inefficiencies. Don't joke with me." Who replied? Jake continued to rant, seemingly oblivious to the others trying to calm him down. "You've wasted my time. I'm busy. If I don't close a contract today, it's on you. You better take responsibility." With those words, he grabbed his suit jacket and stormed out of the company. Why do I have to be scolded for trying to make a constructive comment at work? Moreover, it's ridiculous that he's trying to blame me for his lack of contracts. Everyone in the office was shocked by Jake's behavior. People nearby were concerned, asking if I was okay. I had reached my limit with Jake's constant rude behavior and comments. I wanted to somehow make him pay for his actions, but before I could take any steps, the situation resolved itself. I had to return to the head office, a few days due to some circumstances related to a previous meeting there. When I returned to the subsidiary and was greeting everyone, "Hey, why were you off for so long? Did you finally bring drinks today?" Jake approached me. When I said I hadn't brought anything, Jake glared at me, shaking with anger. "Why not? My word is absolute, isn't it? If you don't listen, I'll complain to my contacts at the head office. Besides, I'm about to start working there. I'll get you fired," he said smugly. When I asked what he meant, "You're so clueless, typical of an old part-timer. Well, you'll understand by this afternoon. Make sure to prepare a bouquet or something." He laughed loudly and left. Around noon, while I was in a meeting, "Excuse me!" The door burst open, and in came Jake. His usual sloppy attire was the same, but his hair was neatly waxed. Seeing my face, Jake frowned, but noticing the presence of head office staff, he sat down with a smile. "Today we have to discuss Jake's future. First, is it true that you didn't let Chelsea use the elevator and slapped her?" Jake's smile turned to a blank stare, surprised by the turn of the conversation. "What? I thought this was about my transfer to the head office." He seemed confused. The head office staff denied it and pressed the question. "No, I didn't do that. Are you delusional or something? That's just your victim complex," he began. The head office staff replied, We have testimonies from others, so we know you slapped her. And there's no benefit for Chelsea to lie. When I retorted, trying to get rid of me to take the head office job, huh? Ugh, as if an old part-timer like you could. Hearing this, the head office staff looked puzzled. I'm not a part-timer, I'm from the head office. I clarified. What? What are you talking about, you delusional old woman? See, I'm right. And Jake said, I was late and absent for a few days because I had work and meetings at the head office. I explained, and Jake looked incredulous. Jake thought about my words for a while. Whatever. I have connections at the head office. People more important than you. What would happen if they found out about this? He sneered, crossing his arms and legs arrogantly. About that, your connection is Skylar from the head office, right? The staff asked. Yeah, he's an executive at the head office. Once he hears about this, you'll all be fired. He replied confidently. Skylar has been dismissed for embezzlement and is currently negotiating through lawyers. He's no longer an employee, the staff informed. Realizing his backup was gone, Jake's face went pale. My absence was due to the scandal involving that executive. It was a company-wide issue that led to a general meeting. So what happens to me now? Jake asked, panicked. Chelsea was assigned here as a trainer, but also to investigate issues requested by the subsidiary's president, including your behavior, Jake. It turned out the subsidiary's president wasn't just ignoring things. He had been observing and requested the head office to intervene. Jake fell silent, looking down. His history of harassing other employees, continuing his behavior despite repeated warnings, even his unkempt appearance, had been noted by supervisors. Your sales performance isn't great either. We prioritized enthusiasm over results as you're always out early, but we checked the company car you use and found frequent visits to casinos. When this was mentioned, Jake looked up and retorted, Shut up! You all didn't say anything before because you knew I had a connection at the head office, right? It was an unspoken agreement, so the past doesn't count. He started to argue. No, that's not correct. There have been 2 warnings in the past, and this is the 3rd, which means termination. It's in the employment rules. This is your 3rd formal warning, but there have been many informal ones. Even without Skylar's embezzlement case, you would have been terminated this time. Jake was speechless. Fine, I apologize for everything. Isn't that enough? I did it all for the good of everyone's training. It's all a misunderstanding. We're all in the same boat. Jake still showed no remorse. You are the one who misunderstood. I would like to say that, but it just doesn't work that way. Even if you thought it was for the best, the outcome was different. Everyone has been telling you that, and you're not in a position to educate others. First, fix your appearance before telling others what to do. After I said that, Jake had nothing more to say. Eventually, due to his incompetence and lack of cooperation, Jake was terminated, with his last day set for a month later. Every day, he just sat in front of the computer, doing nothing, since he had no work to pass on after spending his days at the casino. It must have been his greatest humiliation. During that time, we saw each other daily. When asked if there was anything he could do, maybe you could make coffee for everyone, I suggested. Can you drink coffee? And Jake asked. I can't actually. I can't have anything but tea. But unlike someone, I don't ask others to get it for me. I bring my own, I replied with a smile. A month later, as Jake was leaving after his farewell, Hey Jake! I called out and he turned, probably expecting a bouquet. Looking back with a smile, No, I don't think flowers suit me, he started to say. Please return the $5 you borrowed. I cut him off. He was surprised but quickly took out $5 and handed it to me. If you don't even do household chores or childcare, what's the point of being married? And now, your wife might leave you since you've lost your job. I hope you find your worth. Good luck not getting dumped, I said with a smile, and Jake left the company, trembling. A month later, I heard from a colleague that Jake was seen at a job center, desperately looking for work. Apparently, finding a good job was difficult due to his termination reason. There were rumors that his wife left him, but the truth about someone no longer at the company was hard to verify. After fulfilling my training role for a few months, I returned to the head office. My time at the subsidiary was comfortable and friendly, and it was sad to leave them. But I looked forward to my original role at the head office. Back at the head office, I applied my experience from the subsidiary and reflected that, in a way, the Jake incident was a good learning experience. I can only hope Jake learned something from it too.